Hi, everyone. David Aragona and Mike Beer here, taking a look at one of the feature races at Saratoga this Saturday. Race 10 is the Grade 2 Flower Bowl, offering a $500,000 purse for the fillies and mares going the 11 furlong distance on the turf. And we've got a stacked card of 13 races on tap for this Saturday. You definitely want to do your handicapping. And if you need to pick up a new past performance plan to do so, make sure you take advantage of this Labor Day sale that we've got going on. You can save 15% on all of your favorite DRF products at shop.drf.com. Just use that coupon code LBD15 off to buy your handicapping products to take advantage of this Labor Day sale. Mike, we've got 8 runners entered for turf in this Flower Bowl. Not as big as those fields over at Kentucky Downs, but this one's maybe 25% of the purse that you'll see in some of the races that are taking place there on Saturday. There is one MTL. We hope she doesn't get to participate in this race, the number 9, Amanda's Folly. But among those entered for turf, there is some talent in this field. And I think one of the big questions to answer is what you do with the horse that I pegged as the morning line favorite, the number 4, La Mahana, who's coming off a standout speed figure and a visually impressive performance, but over a very different kind of turf course.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah, listen, La Mahana's last 2 races are actually both really good. The last one is obviously the one that I guess most people will focus on. And I guess if she runs that race back, she's going to win here, David. But this race is a little bit more well-matched than that.
You know, the number 7, Be Your Best, is a horse with plenty of back class, and she's one that does want to be forwardly placed and in many cases outright on the lead in the early stages. And let's see if she'll be able to get there as we take a look at the Timeform US pace projector for this race. And Mike, the paces are always a little tough to read and tough for the pace projector to really predict in these marathon races where it feels like so much of how the horses end up on the front end is going to be coming down to jockey intent. And you'll imagine that Edgar Zaya's riding Be Your Best. He's been on her before. He knows that she likes to be towards the front end. She'll be aggressive, but I wonder how much pressure she's going to get because the number 3, Long Ago, is the horse that likes to be forward. And like, I know that the number 5, In Time, has showed much further back in the pack, but you do have those 3 Clement trainees in here. 2 of them are closers. I wonder if In Time is going to be used to maybe pressure some of the favorites up front.
It's a really good point. She certainly has enough speed to go up there and do that. I just felt, I feel the same way, Dan. I mean, the 7 certainly seems like she wants to be up there anyway. We'll see how aggressive they get. The 3 has been showing good speed. I mean, even the number 1, Marksman Queen. I mean, I know she's coming out of some slower paced races, but she wants to be forward in her race. I don't think they're going to take her back.
Well, that's a good point. Marksman Queen has really run all of her best races when she's on the lead. She doesn't look that fast, but maybe they'll at least be trying to get there in the early stages. Let's begin our conversation of the contenders with that horse, the number 1, Marksman Queen. And we'll take a look at the most recent of her victories when she wired the field in the Robert G. Dick Memorial at Delaware back in early July. Not really sure what was going on with the timer for this race, Mike. There are no fractions in the past performances. Didn't look like the pace was that fast, though, as she just went unchallenged every step of the way. And you could make the argument that the runner-up actually ran the best race in here, Spanish Eyes, who was trying to make up ground and almost gets there at the very end. But Marksman Queen does dig in and hold on, and she's won a couple of these races in a row. It feels like this is a tougher spot than those last 2, though.
Yeah, tougher spot for sure. Probably a bit of a tougher trip coming for her as well, because we've already talked about she likes to be, up front early. There's way more pace for her to contend with in here. I sort of agree with you. It feels like Spanish Eyes, or at least from the way I looked at that last race, Spanish Eyes probably ran the best race there and had to settle for second. But that horse is actually pretty good, and she came back, and I think she finished second in the Beverly D in her next start. So I don't know. I'm not knocking this horse's recent form, David. She's actually been running really well for Grand Motion. The distance is no issue for her, and maybe she'll be comfortable sort of sitting the pocket here and getting a little bit of a different trip. I'm not way against her, but I picked somebody else.
The number 2, Amber Cascade, feels like a bit of a wild card in this race. So she's coming in making just the 2nd turf start of her career and 2nd start in the barn of Mike Maker. And really interesting claim of this horse, Mike. They picked this horse up for $80,000. Flying P, the owner, Mike Maker, the trader. We've seen Maker do this so many times where he plucks a horse from obscurity, runs them in these turf marathons, and suddenly they unlock this new potential. And we'll see if Amber Cascade can do that as well. He got her on turf last time, not going a marathon distance, just a flat mile at Ellis Park. And it did seem like she really improved on the turf. She went off at 38-1 in that race, and she got a good trip all in all, but she certainly outran her odds to get there at the end. And Mike, when I look at this pedigree, there is nothing but stamina influences on the bottom side. She's actually a half sister to a horse that loved going more than 2 miles in jump races on the turf. And the dam herself is a half sister to a horse called De Los Vientos, who we might be familiar with from New York several years ago. I should say more like 15 years ago.
Yeah.
He won multiple dirt marathons, won the old Gallant Fox going 13 furlongs, the Brooklyn at 12 furlongs. So there's a lot of stamina in Amber Cascade's pedigree if she can run better going longer on the turf.
Yeah, there's no doubt. I noticed the same thing about this horse's pedigree as far as distance goes on the bottom. If you're worried about the sire Free Drop Billy, just know that he is also a half brother to a really, really good European Group 1 winning turf horse. So I see all the pedigree stuff. I see the maker stuff. I feel like it's super interesting. Not only that they claimed this horse for 80 just off of the lines that are showing, but also that they immediately went to turf with this horse. I like all that stuff. What I don't really like is the turf race last time. I didn't think that he ran that well, and I just don't like that race overall. But I get all the intangible stuff to like this about this horse on a price.
The number 3, Long Ago, is a horse that was running in that Glens Falls. We'll take a look at that race in just a little bit when we get to La Mahana last time out. And as we were referencing earlier, a lot of rain fell at Saratoga prior to that race. It was a yielding turf course. That was a legitimate yielding, maybe even closer to soft, as you could tell throughout the running of that race. Like one by one, the horses were just having their stamina completely sapped. They were not able to finish the race, and Long Ago got to the top of the stretch, and she was just running on empty as she really fell apart in the late stages, but still was able to hold on for third in that race. That might make you question her stamina a little bit, but she's cutting back to the 1 3/8 here. She does have a win going this distance back at Churchill. Just kind of wonder what kind of trip she's going to get, because her best race did come going gate to wire, and we'll see if she can be as effective stalking.
Yeah, it's my main concern too. We'll see if she can do it. I won't be surprised if she can. I'm going to agree with all the stuff that you said about her Glens Falls last time. That surface and her being up front in that race, and it wasn't a particularly slow pace either. I thought she ran fine in that race. I really liked her return to turf there at Churchill going this distance. I know she got control of that pace in there, but I thought she looked really good winning that day. And I even thought when they turned her back in the stakes race to back, I thought she ran well in that race against a really good field. I thought that was a strong race. I thought she acquitted herself well in there.
The number 4, La Mahana, was the winner of the Grade 2 Glens Falls, and we could take a look at the replay of that race. We mentioned Long Ago is the horse that was leading in the early stages. She's the one that's about to fall apart on the inside. Bellezza is the other horse in this race. She's going to close on for second at the very end. But La Mahana, the one with those yellow silks and the yellow cap, she just had the stamina to see out this distance over this boggy turf course, and really shouldn't come as any surprise, Mike. If you went back to look at some of her European form, she had run well over heavy and soft going over there plenty of times. So it was certainly familiar for her getting this rain softened turf course, and she relished it on this day. But as you were saying earlier, she hinted that she might have an improved effort in her when she won that race at Aqueduct 2 back, because she ran better than the margin of victory might suggest that day too.
She really did. I wonder if you agree with this. I don't know if we talked about that race yet or not. I still feel like, and it was a really strong performance. I still thought that Pratt sort of made all the difference in that race. I just thought he rode her perfect, because that's a race where they were walking early, and that pace really got fast around the final turn. Everybody started going except for Pratt. He just sat on the rail. He let everybody go, and then he waited until the stretch to make his move, and he steamrolled that field. I thought that was a perfect ride, but also a really good effort from La Mahana. I just have a tough time buying, David, that she's the horse that won the Glens Falls. That's what she is now. Maybe she is. Maybe she's just really improved. I have a tough time buying it. I've seen plenty of her. I think she's really good. I think she can win this race, but she's going to be the favorite, and I already know she can be had.
And we should mention Falvey Pratt is offered in this race because he is out of town. I think he's at Del Mar. A lot of other jockeys are at Kentucky Downs this weekend. There's a lot of big racing and big purses happening outside of Saratoga on Saturday. So you're going to see a lot of jockey switches in these races. At least Kendra Carmouche, though, Mike, he did give her a great ride when he won a graded stakes on her back at the end of 2023, I believe it was. The number 5, In Time, is another Christophe Clement trainee in this race, and she went gate to wire in her most recent start in an optional claiming allowance race at Saratoga over the 1.5 mile distance. So you know that the trip is no problem for her. She's going to cut back a furlong here. She chased home Long Ago 2 back, and that's kind of the concern, Mike. When she faced a real quality stakes level foe in her race at Churchill, she wasn't quite good enough, and she does have some real class questions to answer here. But I do wonder if the instructions for Dylan Davis are going to be just get aggressive and see if you can maybe spread this field out a little bit.
Yeah, I think that you make a really good point about what the tactics might be here. I mean, listen, even if you wanted to be lenient about the Churchill race, too bad she was first off the layoff there and chasing a horse who just might be better than her anyway, but the horse that got loose on the lead. I don't know. I just can't identify the race, David, that makes me feel like she can beat this field. I mean, I know she likes Saratoga, and the distance is no issue for her. I just don't think she's good enough.
Yeah, and I have the same feelings about the number 6, Madam Mischief, as we move on to the next runner. She's a horse who's going to be trying a distance like this for the first time. But, Mike, there's not too much in her prior form that makes me believe that she's a grade 2 level turf filly. I mean, she's been pretty consistent. And, she did step up against Stakes Company a couple of times in the last few seasons, had some success at Monmouth Park. But those were weaker fields than this one. And just feels like this could be a difficult spot for her.
Yeah, I just didn't really see it with her either. Some be a huge price in here if you like her. I couldn't find any way to talk myself into her.
Number 7, Be Your Best, Mike, definitely has races in her that will make her tough for this field to beat and tough to catch on the front end if she's able to get there, including that gamely 2-back where she just went to the front end from the start of that race out at Santa Anita, set some enterprising fractions and ran them off their feet. And even the closers coming after her just had way too much ground to make up at the end of that race. Mike, I wonder what you think about the distance with her, because I know she's got that victory going 11 furlongs in the Long Island at the end of last year. I felt like she was a little lucky to win that race because she got to control things on the front end through pretty moderate fractions. And at the runner-up, No-Show Sammy Joe actually might have run better, getting a wide trip and closing into that pace. And No-Show Sammy Joe hasn't really panned out this year, and just makes me question whether or not Be Your Best truly wants to go a 3-turn marathon.
Yeah, we have the same feeling about her. I'm glad that you brought that up because I was going to ask you if you didn't mention it. I mean, I know that she won going the 11 furlongs in that Long Island, but that race didn't instill a lot of confidence in me as far as distance goes. And I also, listen, she's fine sort of just sitting off of another horse. We've seen her do that and win, but I don't know. I still feel like she's probably at her absolute best when she's able to control the action. I don't think that's going to happen in here.
Yeah, and that was the case last time in the Beverly D. She looked like she was going to be pretty tough in that race based on her form, and they decided to concede the lead to another speed horse, and she was never able to reel that horse in, who did go on to win the race. I didn't like the visual of that last out effort. The number 8, Bellezza, is the third of the Miguel Clement trio in here, and Mike, this horse, Bellezza, she was actually one of the final graded stakes winners for Christophe Clement in the Sheepshead Bay, and that was an impressive performance as she rated behind the pace, got a good trip, but boy, did she unleash a turn of foot that day to get the job done. And she's been disappointing in a couple starts since then. She was the favorite in the Glens Falls, had to settle for second, but she has caught yielding turf courses in each of the last 2 races, Mike, and maybe she's just better on firm going.
Yeah, that's how I'm kind of looking at it too. The longer I looked at her on paper and watched back some of her races, I really feel like getting back over firm turf could lead to an improved performance here. Her Sheepshead Bay was really, really good. Perfect trip or not, she really ran in that race. She also arrived stateside with some really good form behind her. And listen, I didn't even forget about yielding turf anyway. I didn't think her New York was bad. I mean, that was a good field. She ran fine in there to finish third. Maybe not quite as well last time, but we've already talked about that race and the conditions it was run under. I think getting back to firm turf, she could be a handful in here. And as opposed to some of the other major players we've already been talking about, this really doesn't need to be part of the pace to be effective here. They can rate and run, and maybe this thing will come right back to her.
And I like that the connections are giving this jockey Rodriguez another chance on her because he did everything right when he rode her to that Sheepshead Bay victory. With the other top jockeys out of town, he's going to take over the mount again on Bellezza. Let's go to picks for this grade 2 Flower Bowl. And Mike, I think you're going to land on that horse we were just talking about.
Yeah, I mean, I just feel like this is a great spot for her. I'm going to hope getting back over to firm turf makes the difference in this race, and I'm going to bet her.
Yeah, I've got her in there in second. I agree with everything you said about her. I think she is one of the horses to beat in this race. I'm just intrigued by, as you put it, the intangibles with the number 2, Amber Cascade. She should appreciate the added distance. I thought if she at least showed affinity for turf last time, we'll see if she can do a little bit better on the grass, stretching out to this 1 3/8 in the grade 2 Flower Bowl taking place on Saturday at Saratoga. Good luck if they play in the races this weekend.